If there is a DLC that's one of the few DLCs that I don't particularly look back on and think, man, that was a DLC that would really love to get a sequel to, it has to be the Further Adventures in Finance and Felony DLC, which I will now start referring to as the FIFA DLC because it's easier to pronounce and it doesn't take half the video to say the title of the DLC. Now, the actual reason as to why I don't particularly am fond of the DLC itself is because primarily of the way that the money in the DLC was made. For those who might not remember, allow me to elaborate. The FIFA DLC was released on June 7th, 2016 and was the very first business to ever exist in GTA Online. Prior to the FIFA DLC, the process of a DLC was pretty simple. You got a DLC, you downloaded it, you either bought the vehicles or you didn't, no buildings that needed to be bought, and unless you felt like 9 millions was a good price for a floating apartment, you could keep most of your money as well. But with the release of the FIFA DLC, that all changed. The DLC require you to buy an executive office, which ranged from $1 million all the way up until $6 million. And obviously, when Rockstar sells the Maze Bank Tower for $6 million, I am definitely buying it. The CEO office wasn't the only thing to be bought here, however. There was also 5 slots available for warehouses to be bought from your laptop inside of your office, again ranging from a couple of $100,000 to millions and millions of dollars. Nowadays, we know obviously what the deal is with the businesses in the game, and if they were to ever add yet another one, which I definitely don't hope that they will because we have enough, then it would likely follow the same principles and patterns as before, but back then, we had never really had anything like it. So the questions became pretty simple. Will I get something out of this $6 million office? What about the warehouses? There are small, medium and large ones. Why? Do I have to buy 5? Do I buy 1 crate at a time? Or 3? Do I get more out of a large warehouse? Etc, etc. Obviously, with time, people would do the research and come to the right conclusions, but it was pretty exciting at the time to see GTA Online getting something different than what we had gotten in the past 3 years. DLCs prior to this, except for the Heist DLC, were pretty basic and simple, so this one was definitely a big game changer. But like with many things, the first attempt wasn't exactly perfect. The gameplay loop of the FIFA DLC was arguably pretty boring. All you were doing was going back and forth with your buzzard and slow vans to get the crates that you needed to collect in order to hit that sweet 111 crates for your large warehouse, so you could then sell it for $2.2 million. All you could really do to speed up your process with that was by using the aforementioned buzzard to get to the location quicker. But because Rockstar decided that doing the most boring thing of all time wasn't quite painful enough, they also had you do everything in a public lobby. Why? I still don't know. There's very little reward for destroying cargo other than the person doing it showing you that he doesn't know what a hug feels like from his very own mother. Having said that, I have always been a pretty firm believer in the fact that the intentions of the public lobbies weren't inherently evil, and the developers that came up with it and implemented it into the game meant pretty well. I believe the reason as to why the public lobby requirement became a thing is so that when you're going for those crates with your slow van, others will be able to intercept them and make the slow driving van more interesting than listening to Rebel Radio for the 4th hour and then just going for a relaxing cruise. Having someone chasing after you makes everything a lot more intense and a lot more exciting and feel more rewarding if you actually manage to get to your warehouse in time. The idea behind it was likely done with the good intentions and obviously brought some life into free roam by rewarding those for going after the cargo vans. But just like the last season of Game of Thrones, they just kind of forgot that people are still going to be assholes and will just lock onto you with a buzzard, savage, or jet to destroy your stuff for no other reason than the hug that they never got from their mother. Having said this, the system in place that was added with the nightclub DLC for the business battles is definitely a lot better, as it allows you to take the cargo to your own business and then benefit from it instead of the $2,000 and the Knobhead of the Year award. For all its flaws, the crate business was definitely something that GTA Online needed, especially with how much you could be making off it compared to all the other avenues in the game at the time. Sure, you had to spend $666,000 by buying all the source crates. Add on top of the fact all the businesses and the millions you will spend on the business itself to even get started, but it would still leave you with a cool profit of $1.5 million after the very first time you did it. Do it a couple of more times, and hey presto, you start making some actual money. And as a solo player that couldn't really do pack standard all the time, this was a major game changer. Finally, solo players didn't have to rely on others to make their money. No more need for begging people to stop being absolute morons in heist and contact missions, and this is just something that they could just do in their own time, at their own pace, and to their own desire. I know some of you might question as to why this is so important, but you have to keep in mind that most folks probably just play games by themselves, or just don't really feel like interacting with others, especially after a long day of hard work. They just want to have their own fun in their own terms and just casually play a bit here and there. I think a lot of us often forget that there's people like that just casually play games, and not everyone spends every single second that they have free on their video games and perfecting their craft into the grinding that is GTA Online. And the crate business definitely fit that exact philosophy. People were finally able to have a reliable way of making a steady income as a solo player, away from the content that is based on time. An activity that allowed you to make money, and well, if you were quick at it, then you could also make more money per hour in the process. And the best part about the DLC, if you needed a buzzard and you owned one, you could spawn it instantly from this new CEO menu. And even if you didn't own one either, you could just simply cough up a bit of money until you had enough for your personal one. This is ultimately the biggest game changer in the game that was added at the time. Prior to the release of the CEO menu, you had to call Pegasus for a buzzard, then go to a location, and then you could fly it. This would take minutes and obviously would have a massive impact in how much time you would spend doing your stuff that you wanted to do. Now you could just spawn a buzzard in a few seconds and it would be directly behind you. And when it got destroyed, don't worry, just wait 2 minutes and you got yourself a brand new one. The FIFA DLC was a great DLC that had a lasting impact on GTA Online that can be felt until this very day, despite my personal feelings towards the crate business gameplay loop. It was the start of the next few years where every DLC was a new business or required you to buy into a new building in order to access the new DLC. Could the DLC have been better? Sure. Especially nowadays, it would have been nice to have the crate business available in invite-only lobbies and the missions just changed up a little bit, perhaps even with some faster vehicles. But you know, Rockstar is still allergic to updating old content, so that's unlikely to happen. But a man can dream, I suppose. But those are just some of my thoughts. Of course, I'd love to know what you think in the comments down below. Do you have any fond memories of this DLC or have anything interesting to say about it? Make sure to let me know in the comments down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more, and if you really like what you see on the channel, make sure to become a member like Chloe, Robert, and Madman Dakota. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all later.